Hello students. In this video, we will explore chapter No, the Colonial Rule in India from your class at Mast Social Science book. Cambridge University Press. This chapter explains how the British established and expanded their rule in India, how they controlled administration, and the impact of colonial rule on Indian society, agriculture, trade, and education. Watch the full video for a detailed explanation through important questions and answers that will help you in your revision and exam preparation. Q. Who founded the Mughal Empire and in which year? A. The Mughal Empire was founded by Babur in 1526. Q. Under whose reign did the Mughal Empire expand to its full glory? A. The Mughal Empire expanded to its full glory under Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. Q. When did the decline of the Mughal Empire begin? A. The decline of the Mughal Empire began after the reign of Aurangzeb. Q. What signs were visible within 50 years after Aurangzeb's reign? A. Signs of decline and disintegration were visible within the next 50 years. Q. What happened to the Mughal administrative machinery? A. The Mughal administrative machinery was sapped of its vitality. Q. What was the state of the Mughal Empire by 1761? A. By 1761, the Mughal Empire existed only in name as its boundaries had disintegrated into regional kingdoms. Q. Name the three successor states of the Mughal Empire. A. Bengal, Awadh, and Hyderabad were the three successor states of the Mughal Empire. Q. What economic policy did European rulers follow in the 17th and 18th centuries? A. European rulers followed the policy of mercantilism in the 17th and 18th centuries. Q. What is mercantilism? A. Mercantilism is a policy where rulers tried to profit by buying raw materials cheap and selling finished products at high prices. Q. Why did European rulers seek colonies? A. European rulers sought colonies to buy raw materials cheaply and sell finished products at high prices. Q. What did this quest for trade centers lead to? A. The quest for trade centers led to intense rivalry and war on land and sea. Q. What company was formed on 31 December 1600? A. The English East India Company was formed on 31 December 1600. Q. Who ran the English East India Company? A. The English East India Company was run by a board of directors. Q. What exclusive right was granted to the East India Company by Queen Elizabeth I? A. The company was granted the exclusive right to trade in the East through a charter issued by Queen Elizabeth I. Q. Did the charter include any directive of conquest or colonialism? A. No. The charter only granted monopoly of trade and did not carry any directive of conquest or colonialism. Q. When did Captain Hawkins arrive at the Mughal court? A. Captain Hawkins arrived at the royal court of Jahangir in 1608. Q. Why did Jahangir not grant permission to Hawkins? A. Jahangir did not grant permission to Hawkins because the Portuguese were pressuring him not to do so. Q. Who came to India as an ambassador of King James I in 1615? A. Sir Thomas Roe came to India as an ambassador of James I, the King of England, in 1615. Q. What did Sir Thomas Roe obtain from Jahangir? A. Sir Thomas Roe obtained permission from Jahangir to establish English trading factories in different parts of India. Q. Where were English factories established by 1619? A. By 1619 the English had established their factories at Agra, Ahmedabad, and Bharuch. Q. Why did the Mughals welcome the English? A. The Mughals welcomed the English to counterbalance the predominance of the Portuguese and later the Dutch. Q. How did the East India Company benefit in the 17th century? A. In the 17th century, the East India Company secured the means of profitable trade due to the goodwill of the Mughals. Q. What Indian products did the English trade in Europe? A. The English traded in indigo, saltpeter, and fine quality handloom Indian textiles. Q. What happened to the demand for Indian fabrics after 1660? A. After 1660, the demand for Indian fabrics like chintz, calico, and muslin increased rapidly. Q. Where did the rise of British power in India begin? A. The rise of British power in India began in Bengal. Q. Why did Bengal become important for the East India Company in the early 18th century? A. In the early 18th century, the trade of Bengal became very profitable for the East India Company. Q. What did Aurangzeb grant the English in 1691? A. In 1691, Aurangzeb granted the English the right to duty-free trade in Bengal for an annual payment of Rs. 3,000. Q. What zamindari rights were granted to the English? A. The English were granted zamindari rights in the villages of Kolkata, Sutanuti, and Gobindapur. Q. Which city was formed by combining the three villages? A. The city of Calcutta was formed by combining Kolkata, Sutanuti, and Gobindapur. Q. What did Emperor Farrukhsiyar grant in 1717? A. In 1717, Farrukhsiyar granted the company the right to carry out duty-free trade. Q. Who was the new autonomous ruler of Bengal that opposed this? A. Murshid Quli Khan was the new autonomous ruler who refused to extend the duty-free trade to private company officials. Q. By 1750, what portion of Indian goods did Bengal account for in company trade? A. By 1750, Bengal accounted for about 75% of the company's procurement of Indian goods. Q. Which city was formed by combining the three villages? A. The city of Calcutta was formed by combining Kolkata, Sutanuti, and Gobindapur. Q. What did Emperor Farrukhsiyar grant in 1717? A. In 1717, Farrukhsiyar granted the company the right to carry out duty-free trade. Q. Who was the new autonomous ruler of Bengal that opposed this? A. Murshid Quli Khan was the new autonomous ruler who refused to extend the duty-free trade to private company officials. Q. By 1750, what portion of Indian goods did Bengal account for in company trade? A. By 1750, Bengal accounted for about 75% of the company's procurement of Indian goods. Q. How did Siraj-ud-Daulah react to the fortification of Calcutta? A. Siraj-ud-Daulah saw it as a challenge to his authority. Q. What action did Siraj-ud-Daulah take in June 1756? A. In June 1756, Siraj-ud-Daulah marched to Calcutta, defeated the garrison, and imprisoned those who could not flee. Q. What kind of leader was Siraj-ud-Daulah before becoming Nawab? A. Siraj-ud-Daulah was young, ambitious, and had a deep interest in modern warfare techniques. Q. What problem did Siraj-ud-Daulah face in modernizing his army? A. His efforts to modernize the army were undermined by traditional military elites in his court who resisted change. Battle of Plassey, 1757. Q. What was the result of the Battle of Plassey in 1757? A. In the Battle of Plassey in 1757, Siraj-ud-Daulah was defeated by the British. Q. Who conspired with the British to replace Siraj-ud-Daulah? A. Mir Jafar and other dissatisfied court factions conspired with the British to replace Siraj-ud-Daulah. Q. What role did Robert Clive play in the Battle of Plassey? A. Robert Clive led the company officials who colluded with Mir Jafar to defeat Siraj-ud-Daulah. Q. Why was the Battle of Plassey considered hardly more than a brawl? A. The Battle of Plassey was considered hardly more than a brawl because the largest part of the Nawab's army remained inactive under Mir Jafar. Q. What happened to Siraj-ud-Daulah after the Battle of Plassey? A. Siraj-ud-Daulah was captured and put to death. Q. Who was appointed as Nawab after the Battle of Plassey? A. Mir Jafar was appointed as the new puppet Nawab after the Battle of Plassey. Q. What did the Battle of Plassey mark for the British? A. The Battle of Plassey marked the beginning of the political supremacy of the English East India Company in India. Q. How was company trade in Bengal financed before 1757? A. Before 1757, company trade in Bengal was financed through the import of bullion from England. Q. What change occurred in bullion flow after 1757? A. After 1757, bullion was no longer imported from England but exported from Bengal to China and other parts of India. Q. How did this change benefit the English? A. This gave the English a competitive advantage over their European rivals. Q. What was the Stamp Act of 1765? A. The Stamp Act of 1765 was a tax imposed by the British on American colonies to raise money. Q. Why did the British impose the Stamp Act? A. The British imposed the Stamp Act to help pay for the Indian War and the costs of maintaining British troops. Q. How did the colonists in America react to the Stamp Act? A. The colonists did not agree with the tax and felt it was unfair. Q. Who replaced Mir Jafar in 1760? A. Mir Qasim replaced Mir Jafar in 1760. Q. Why was Mir Jafar replaced by Mir Qasim? A. Mir Jafar was replaced because he could not meet the financial demands of the company. Q. What reform did Mir Qasim implement regarding trade? A. Mir Qasim abolished internal duties so that Indian merchants could enjoy the same privileges as the British. Battle of Buxar, 1764. Q. How did the English react to Mir Qasim's reforms? A. The English did not approve and replaced Mir Qasim with Mir Jafar again. Q. What did Mir Qasim do after being replaced again? A. Mir Qasim fled from Bengal and formed a grand alliance with Shah Alam II and Shuja-ud-Daulah. Q. What was the result of the Battle of Buxar in 1764? A. The British defeated the combined army of Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II, and Shuja-ud-Daulah at the Battle of Buxar in 1764. Q. What happened to the Mughal emperor after the Battle of Buxar? A. The British treated him with some respect but forced him to sign the Treaty of Allahabad. Q. What did the Treaty of Allahabad grant the British? A. The treaty granted the British the Diwani or revenue collection rights of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. Q. How was Shuja-ud-Daulah punished after the Battle of Buxar? A. Shuja-ud-Daulah was made to pay Rs. 50 lakhs as war indemnity. Q. Who was posted at the court of Murshidabad? A. A British resident was posted at the court of Murshidabad. Q. What did the British resident eventually control? A. The British resident eventually controlled the administration of the entire province. Dual system of administration. Q. What policy did the company initiate after Buxar? A. The company initiated the policy of indirect governance. Q. What were the responsibilities of the company under this system? A. The company collected all the revenue and controlled the army but took no responsibility. Q. What kind of power did the Nawab have under this system? A. The Nawab had many responsibilities but no real power to implement decisions. Q. What was this system of governance called? A. This system was called the dual system of administration or dual government. Q. How did the dual system affect the people of Bengal? A. The common people of Bengal suffered terribly due to this system. Q. Why was the Battle of Buxar considered a decisive battle? A. It exposed the weaknesses of the Indian Army and gave the British complete financial control over Bengal. Q. How did the Battle of Buxar help the British financially? A. The British gained control of one of India's richest states, solving their financial problems. Q. What long-term impact did the Battle of Buxar have? A. The Battle of Buxar paved the way for 200 years of British rule in India. Q. What did Robert Clive say about the state of Bengal after Buxar? A. Robert Clive said that Bengal was filled with anarchy, confusion, bribery, corruption, and extortion. Q. What unusual British names were used for Indian figures and places? A. Siraj-ud-Daulah was called Sir Roger Dowell, and Allahabad was referred to as Isle of Bats. Q. How was power divided in the dual system? 1765 to 1772. A. The administration was divided between the Nawab and the company, but real power lay with the company. Q. Who were appointed as deputy Diwans under this system? A. Muhammad Raza Khan was appointed for Bengal, and Raja Shitab Roy for Bihar. Q. Who was made the deputy Nazim for police and judiciary? A. Muhammad Raza Khan was given the additional responsibility of deputy Nazim. Q. Could the deputy Nazim be removed easily? A. No. The deputy Nazim could not be removed without the consent of the company. Q. Who actually exercised Diwani and Nizamat functions? A. Indian officials exercised these functions, but the company held real power. Q. When did the dual system end and who ended it? A. The dual system ended in 1772, when Warren Hastings brought Bengal under direct company control. Carnatic Wars, Introduction and First War. Q. Where was one of the first French trading centers in India established? One of the first French trading centers in India was established in Pondicherry, now Puducherry. Q. Why are these wars called the Carnatic Wars? These wars are called the Carnatic Wars because they took place in the Carnatic region, a coastal dependency of Hyderabad. Q. When did the first Carnatic War take place? The first Carnatic War took place from 1746 to 1748. Q. What treaty ended the first Carnatic War and what were its outcomes? The Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748 ended the first Carnatic War. The French received Louisbourg in North America, and the British regained Madras. Second Carnatic War. Q. What triggered the Second Carnatic War? The Second Carnatic War was triggered by a succession dispute after the death of the Nizam of Hyderabad in 1748. Q. Who supported Chanda Sahib and who supported Muhammad Ali Khan Walaja in the Second Carnatic War? The French supported Chanda Sahib, while the British supported Muhammad Ali Khan Walaja. Q. What was the outcome of the Second Carnatic War? The British won the Second Carnatic War, and Muhammad Ali Khan Walaja became the Nawab of Arcot. Q. Which treaty ended the Second Carnatic War and what did it demand? The Treaty of Pondicherry in 1754 ended the war and demanded that the French return all captured territories. Third Carnatic War. Q. What European event led to the Third Carnatic War? The outbreak of the 7 Years' War in 1756 in Europe led to the Third Carnatic War. Q. Which French settlement was captured by the British in Bengal during the Third Carnatic War? The British captured Chandarnagar, now Chandannagar, in 1757. Q. Who defeated the French at the Battle of Wandewash and when? Sir Court defeated the French under Count de Lally at the Battle of Wandewash in 1760. Q. What treaty ended the Third Carnatic War and what were its terms? The Treaty of Paris in 1763 ended the war. It returned Pondicherry and Chandarnagar to the French but forbade them from administering their settlements. British expansion, Anglo-Mysore and Anglo-Maratha conflicts. Q. Between which years were the Anglo-Mysore wars fought? The Anglo-Mysore wars were fought between 1766 to 1799. Q. Who were the main rulers of Mysore during the Anglo-Mysore wars? Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan were the main rulers of Mysore. Q. When was Tipu Sultan defeated and killed? Tipu Sultan was defeated and killed in 1799 during the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Q. How did the Third Battle of Panipat affect the Marathas? The defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761 weakened the Marathas, leading to the death of Peshwa Balaji Baji Rao. Annexation policies, doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliance. Q. Who introduced the doctrine of lapse and what did it state? Lord Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse, which stated that if an Indian ruler died without a natural male heir, their kingdom would be annexed by the British. Q. Name any two states annexed under the doctrine of lapse. A. Jhansi, annexed in 1853, and Satara, annexed in 1848, were two states annexed under the doctrine of lapse. Q. Who introduced the subsidiary alliance system? A. Lord Wellesley introduced the subsidiary alliance system. Q. What was a key feature of the subsidiary alliance? A. Under the subsidiary alliance, Indian rulers had to pay for British troops stationed in their territory and needed British approval for any foreign relations or employment of Europeans. Direct annexation and org. Q. Why could the doctrine of lapse not be applied to annex org? The doctrine of lapse could not be applied to org because the Nawab had many heirs. Q. On what grounds was org annexed by the British? Org was annexed in 1856 on the pretext of maladministration and misgovernance by Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. Q. What was the impact of the annexation of org on the British Army? The annexation caused great discontent among the British Army, as many sepoys were from org. Q. Who was the Nawab of org when it was annexed? Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was the ruler of org at the time of annexation. Administrative and political reforms. Q. What was the Regulating Act of 1773 and why was it introduced? The Regulating Act of 1773 gave the British Parliament more control over the East India Company's rule in India. Q. What did the Pitt's India Act of 1784 establish? Pitt's India Act of 1784 created a board of control to supervise the East India Company's activities in India. Q. What major change did the Charter Act of 1813 bring? The Charter Act of 1813 ended the East India Company's monopoly over trade in India, allowing other British traders access. Q. Who became the effective ruler of British territories in India after these reforms? The Governor-General became the effective ruler of British territories in India. Civil administration reforms by Cornwallis. Q. What issue did Cornwallis address regarding company servants? Cornwallis found that company servants were underpaid but made huge profits through corrupt private trade. Q. What major administrative change did Cornwallis introduce in civil service? A. He introduced merit-based appointments and paid high salaries to reduce corruption. Q. Who was the first Indian to join the Indian Civil Service? ICS. Sachendranath Tagore, in 1863, was the first Indian to join the ICS. Q. What was a key policy regarding Indian participation in administration? High posts were reserved for the English. Indians were appointed only to subordinate positions. Judicial reforms by Cornwallis. Q. Who helped Cornwallis reorganize the judicial system? Sir William Jones, a judge and scholar, assisted Cornwallis in reforming the judicial system. Q. What were the highest courts in the judicial system under British rule? The Sadar Davani Adalat, civil, and Sadar Nizamat Adalat, criminal, both located in Calcutta. Q. What change did Cornwallis make to the roles of collectors and judges? He removed collectors from judicial roles and appointed separate district judges. Q. What major principle of law did Cornwallis introduce in India? He introduced the rule of law and the concept of equality before law, though it was not fairly implemented. Shunya, police and other reforms. Q. How was the police system organized under Cornwallis? Districts were divided into thanas, each 20 square miles, headed by an Indian officer called a daroga. Q. What was a major flaw in the police system? Colonization of the world. A glimpse India wasn't the only country colonized by European powers. In the 18th and 19th centuries, several powerful nations like Britain, Spain, France, Portugal, and the Netherlands, Dutch, established control over vast parts of the world for trade, resources, and power. Important examples of colonization: Africa, early colonization, late 1700s. Portugal, Britain, France, and the Netherlands started trading along the African coast. They traded in gold, ivory, and slaves. These early trades laid the foundation for the scramble for Africa, which peaked during the Berlin Conference, 1884 to 85, where European powers divided Africa among themselves. Australia, British colonization, 1788 onwards. 1788, first fleet of British ships arrived in Botany Bay, a penal colony for prisoners, started in New South Wales. Over time, settlers expanded inland and founded farms and mines. By 1850, British colonies like Tasmania, Victoria, and others were established. Canada, British takeover 1756 to 1763. During the 7 Years' War, Britain defeated France in North America. Treaty of Paris, 1763. France gave up Canada to Britain. Britain took over Quebec and French territories. Many British settlers moved to Canada. America's Spanish colonies. Spain ruled much of South and Central America. But during late 1700s and early 1800s, independence movements grew strong, inspired by global revolutions. Leaders like Simon Bolivar and José de San Martin fought back. By 1820s, many countries in Latin America had won independence from Spain. Southeast Asia, Dutch colonization. The Dutch East India Company, VOC, controlled trade and colonies in Indonesia. They traded spices, coffee, and other goods. After 1799, the Dutch government directly ruled over Java, Sumatra, and other areas. This led to long-term Dutch rule in Indonesia. British colonization of India. Summary. European powers like British, French, Dutch, and Portuguese came to India as traders in the 1600s to 1700s. They competed to control trade. British defeated the French in the Carnatic Wars and became dominant in India. Through wars with Bengal, Marathas, Mysore, and others, the British gained control. They used three major methods to expand: direct annexation, capturing lands, subsidiary alliance, forcing rulers to depend on British armies, doctrine of lapse, taking over kingdoms if rulers had no heirs. Lord Cornwallis reformed Indian administration by starting the Indian Civil Services, ICS. Region colonial power. Important events: Africa, Portugal, Britain, France, Dutch trade of gold, ivory, slaves, Berlin Conference, Australia, Britain penal colony in 1788, expansion inland, Canada, Britain, from France, Treaty of Paris, 1763. South America, Spain independence by 1820s. Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Dutch VOC control. Then direct Dutch rule. India, Britain, Carnatic Wars. Subsidiary alliance. Doctrine of lapse. So students, we have now covered all the key concepts and important questions from the colonial rule in India. This question bank will surely help you revise better and perform well in your exams. For more such helpful videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and best of luck for your studies.